we'll give it a few minutes for the room to go. I know we're going to go live on Facebook as well. So I think we got some exciting stuff to talk about. This is probably the thing I get asked most about in all my years of dental sleep medicine. This is the hottest question and the thing people want the most help with. So I'm excited to talk about what we've been up to for the better part of the last year of this, and kind of let everybody know what's new and what's available now. Right, let's see. Like I said, if you're just joining us, welcome to SleepTV. It's Tuesday night. We're doing our final show of the year, so I'm excited for that. And we are just giving it another minute or two here for the room to fill up. Make sure everybody's on and watching, and then we'll get started. See some good friends, some clients here. All right, well, I don't want to go too long. I appreciate those of you that jumped in on time, and I know the room will continue to fill here. So welcome to SleepTV. Thank you everybody for hopping on. Very special thanks to our guest tonight, Dr. Tom Gotsis. Dr. Gotsis is a good friend of mine. We've been doing this for a long time. I remember going out to his office. Seems like a lifetime ago in the dental sleep world, but it was quite some time back, and gosh, things have changed an awful lot since then. So
yes, yeah.
I really appreciate you hopping on with us tonight too. All right, let me get my slides ready. Okay, so a couple housekeeping things. There's a chat available if you're in the Zoom meeting, so you can use the chat to ask things to Dr. Gotsis and myself. You could also use the Q&A box, which is easier to kind of manage. So if you have a question, drop it in there. Typically these nights, especially, it's gonna open up and there's gonna be lots of questions. So as we start going through things, I'm gonna keep inventory of that. We're not gonna answer everything probably. We're gonna try to get to most of your stuff. And if I don't answer it right away, just know it's because we're probably gonna talk about it later. So we'll get there. But throw your questions in there if you have any comments, questions. The other thing is, if you're live watching on Facebook, you can comment in there as well. And our team's also monitoring that, so they'll get your questions transferred over, because I don't have the Facebook stream up in front of me now. But, well, again, thank you, Tom, for hopping on. We've been talking a lot lately about this, so it's been a long time in coming, and I'm glad we can kind of, bring this out and talk to the world about it, and share what we've been up to and what you've been up to for a while now. So maybe just, if I think it would be helpful for those of us or those of our attendees that don't know you, give us kind of a crash course in your history in dental sleep, and what you're doing now, where you practice, and then we'll get into our topic about revenue and billing.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for everyone hopping on. And also, you'll have my information at the end of the talk. So if you ever want to call or text or email me, feel free. Always open to questions. And, John's right. We got into sleep back in 2008, 2009 is when I first started really bringing it to my practice. And I had just moved my practice to a hospital setting, just happened to be in a hospital building. And I was done with my military duty, 21 years in the Army. And so they could call me up no more. And so I decided to move my practice. And I heard about Sleep Group Solutions and needed to get to know this subject. And the truth is, I went through 3 of the courses in 1 year. I happened to see Dan Taché, who continues to be my mentor. I talk to Dan monthly, if not more than that. Then I saw Brock Rondeau, and then I ended up with Guy from DS3.
Mhm.
So took those courses, immediately jumped in, been using pharyngometry and rhinometry since the day I started doing this. And, was in kind of the golden age of sleep medicine. Everyone was pretty much out of network. We were getting paid well for what we did, and I enjoyed it. But I saw one of the things over time was that really needed to be a network. And maybe something that really drove that was the simple fact that I was at a hospital setting. And as you know, all physicians use medical insurance, and thought this is what I have to get into. And got into that on the ground level with sleep impressions and Jeff Schultz and Mara Retzloff. And that kind of started being in network. The protocols and everything we used, we set up policies and systems on the way, or really systems to do it, and then policies to run those systems on how we were going to do this. And, each year we got better and better, understood what we must do, got network for every company. And, that's kind of brought me where I am today. I'm gonna not go into everything, John, except to say that that's where I've been for the last almost 10 years now. And, it's been good for me, good for my practice, and especially good for the patients. Because
And
when
I
you're
think
in network, they're not, it's easier for them to say yes. I have to say that. And I think as we go through this, you understand why it's so much easier for patients to say yes. So why don't I leave it right there, John, and then we'll.
No, you're right. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, right? Make it easy for you, make it easy for the patient, and make it easy for your referring physicians. And that's, you spoke of the golden age, right? And that's where we came from with this. And we came from an era where out of network and be paid reliably and consistently well. Physicians didn't see, because everyone was out of network. There was a lot of people doing it even fee for service. But times have changed and have evolved, and we're in a position now where we really do need to, we need to work with patients' insurances more than we have in the past.
Yes.
Being out of network, it does not afford the same kind of predictability and reliability and consistency that it used to, even just 5 years ago.
Right.
Things like getting gap exemptions and things like that were just used to be routine, and now they're not. Other things have changed too, and since we started. Remember, back in the day, we always used to teach, okay, well, just all you have to do for dental sleep is screen your patient. You've got a watch pad or an Aries or an Embla or all these other home sleep test device. Just send it and have a physician sign it, and boom, you're done and you're good. Actually, really long time. Still sometimes works today. But what's happening more and more is now the insurance companies, well, wait a second. Who was the physician that ordered this? And wait, oh, they didn't see a physician face to face. Oh, no, we're not paying for anything now. And so having, even something so simple as just the diagnostic, we need a different solution for for that, because it's not the same, right? We were told, oh, bill it out of network and you're going to get gap waivers on everybody and get more benefits. And we did. We got gaps all the time, but it was a while ago. And every year it seems to get harder and harder and harder. Now you don't get gaps, a fraction of the time compared to what you used to. And then I love this kind of mentality about just, protect yourself, right? Charge these huge amounts and charge the patient these huge amounts and sort of like hedging yourself. It's the most unpatient friendly model I've ever seen. And the physicians don't do it this way, right? You don't go in for surgery and the surgeon says, well, we're going to basically charge you up front in cash. And then if your insurance company pays us something, yeah, we'll give some back to you. It's like, no, that's not how that works. But forever, that's kind of what happened. And it was this like confrontational mentality. Like, I've got to protect myself against both the patient and their big mean insurance company. And that mentality kind of drove us to where we're at now, where, I'm in a fortunate position where I get to work with practices like Dr. Gotsis and dozens of others all the time. And the people that are hitting a home run, the people that are absolutely crushing, doing high volume, have all 100% of them figured out a system for being able to bill in network. And they make it easy for the patient. There's no barrier to entry in working with them and being a patient in their practice. It's not this confrontational mentality. It's a very patient and friendly model. And they don't win by hitting a grand slam and getting $5,000-$6,000 reimbursements. They win by hitting a whole lot of singles and doubles and doing 10 times as many treatments and in turn a lot more revenue, but doing it in volume. And that's really the game to succeed with this. And so, our intention with this new model is just that. We know where you've been, and I can't speak to everybody watching this, but I can speak to a lot of you, and I know where you've been, right? You struggle with case acceptance, you struggle with figuring out what out-of-pockets would be, high deductibles associated with out-of-network, struggle with gaining consistent high volume physician referrals because of that inconsistency in your ability to bill. I saw and Tom, I know you saw it, there was a poster presentation at the sleep meetings a couple years back, and specifically they were looking at physicians, and the question was, well, what's your number one hesitation around referring for more sleep appliances, right? Give them all these options, right? The credentials of the dentist and the device and this and that. It was like 87. Number one thing was the dentist's ability to bill, to be in network and bill insurance. Right. Like, they don't care if you're a diplomat. They don't care what device you make. Number two was, did the device work, right? Mm-hmm. Number one was how you're going to pay for it. So that's got to be our mentality in looking to grow dental sleep businesses and expand beyond the boundaries of your dental practice. Because you can do this fee for service in your dental practice. If that's the only people you want to treat, that's easy. That's fine. But so I hope that, again, my story here is the lucky few who figured it out, and it's really what it is, really thrived and the rest struggled. So I think in what we're talking about here tonight, we've got a better solution. We've got one that fits a bigger model. It's, and we've got our, the beta tester live talking with us, right? Because you've been doing it for, how many years now has this model been live in your practice?
We're going on 10 years.
Okay. So it's not brand new.
No. We've been doing sleep since, like I said,
Yeah.
2008. So, yeah. And the other thing, John, I want to hit on too is, yeah, physicians, it's important to them. And when they know that you're taking care of the patient, you're not charging exuberant amounts, because they used to always think that it was, 35, 4,000, 4,500 every patient you do. And again, I have no problem with that. People can charge whatever they want. But if you want to have a decently high volume and you want to get to know physicians and them to know you, it's be a network. Make sure you're doing the follow-up sleep studies. I mean, I get guys all around me that consistently send to me because they know my model, my system, and how I do it. And they always get the patient back. Yearly, I like them to be. Many patients go every 2 years to see their sleep physician, even though they've been in appliances for 6, 7, 10 years. And I still insist on they see the sleep physician, because again, I want to be accountable to them to let them know I'm taking care of their patients and that their patients are being taken care of. So I just think that gets you more and more referrals when physicians know you are in network billing their patients.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't doubt that for a second. I've seen it
Yeah.
time and time again in multiple practices. That's a huge factor.
Right.
And when they know that they're going to send you somebody, and you're not going to say, "Oh, our fee is $3,500 cash. We'll give you care credit, financing." That's not a play. So I think if you can play the game like they do, it's a big win in the long run, and it's a volume,
Right.
right? So, I'm speaking to the standpoint where we're now, working. A lot of you listening are customers of ours that are using some of our technology, looking to adapt this newer model. Some of you are brand new and just getting started with us. So we'll kind of go through this process and this protocol of like how you're going to take care of people, through this process, and how it solves for the in-network billing piece, but also solves for the physician, the diagnostics piece, which is just as important, right? We need to satisfy that. You can't be, and there's a lot of different rules and regulations coming down and various state dental boards and this or that, as far as what you're allowed to dispense or order or not dispense. So regardless of where you are and what kind of restrictions are in place, you can absolutely follow this model. And this is going to help you get patients reliably tested, diagnosed, having therapy ordered in a way that's going to guarantee insurance coverage on the back end. Because we've run into that too, with people just self-dispensing sleep studies, then trying to kind of backwards get them read. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, that didn't really count. Now we got to start over again. So if we follow the model, right, high-risk patient comes in. This is somebody you screen out of hygiene. This is somebody that came in off marketing, off your website, or physician referral, or who knows? But we know that there's a unlimited number of these people out there, and we bring them in for our sleep consult, where this is sort of the it's like a funnel lot, because it's really what it is, where so much of this legwork, so much of these things that people get tripped up on are getting outsourced now. So we're taking that piece out of your practice. We're taking it away from your your sleep coordinator, your admin team, and handling it outside of your office. The sleep consult appointment, you do some baseline testing, just sort of, real basic stuff. You're not finding treatment positions or any of that. You're going to enter the patient in the software, right? Their basic health history info, but you're also going to put their medical insurance info in. And so by putting it in the system, now the patient of record in this EMR software, but this also states the referrals and the referral for telehealth. So what'll happen is at that point, you've got a high risk. You've measured their airway, it's bad. Seen them, you put in some basic health history stuff. You put their insurance info in, and from there they get referred, they get transferred over for telehealth to get a physician involved to ultimately do a face-to-face telehealth visit with that patient. So the telemedicine team will schedule the face-to-face with a board-certified sleep physician. The patient will have that stuff, that face-to-face. They'll be ordered from that physician, not you, because again, depending on which state you're in, that might not fly. That physician is now the one to order their diagnostic sleep test, which is FedExed to them. They take the device, they wear it, they send it back. This is all outside your scope. You haven't touched it or dealt with this at all. Now they do another telehealth with the same physician to go over the results. And at that point, you have a diagnosed patient if they meet the criteria, and we're not here to talk about that, but you have a diagnosed patient, you have medical necessity for an oral appliance, you have a prescription for an oral appliance, and it's all been done totally legit, above board. You didn't order the study, dispense the study, nothing to do with it. And that really works extremely well. That works for Medicare, so we don't have to have like different protocols for, oh, if
Right.
it's UHC, we do this. If it's Medicare, we do that. No, we can do that for everyone, everyone. Now, what's really cool here is that that's not where traditionally in this kind of third-party biller model, that's where it stops, right? It's like, okay, you went and used some telehealth diagnostic thing, you got them tested. Okay, now it's on you to sell it, figure it out, calculate their, out-of-pocket cost, collect that. Not with this model. So with this model, now it kind of transfers back to our sleep impressions practice. And we've talked about sleep impressions. I'll explain kind of how that's structured, but it's like turning the whole model, how we work together, on its head. But they impressions, and that's where the patient benefits have already been calculated. Their out-of-pocket costs have already been calculated and figured out, and they'll be in touch with the patient directly. So not your office, trying to figure this out and collect it. We'll be in touch with the patient to go over the benefits, what the physician's prescribed, what their insurance coverage is looking like, what their out-of-pocket costs, those payments, get a card on file. They'll put everything in place so that, and now they'll send them back. Oh, when they come back to your office, it's not just a tested patient, it's a diagnosed who's paid for, who they're committed to accepted treatment, they've paid their co-pays, they're ready to go. That next appointment in your office is a records appointment, and that's where you're going to dive in and do your deeper diagnostic tests. You're going to do your pharyngometer, you're going to do your x-rays, you're going to do your scan, your bite, your, all that, everything else you're going to do as far as, at that point, our practices are collecting and this says $350, and it doesn't have to be that number, dental sleep medicine patient management fee. Now that's a separate fee. It's explained to the patient. It's not paying for things that have already been paid for or covered or billed by their insurance. This is a separate thing. Tom, why don't you talk and just kind of speak to that fee, what it covers in your practice for the patient, how much you collect for it. I know you do more than $350, which is good. So what's that?
So that was one of the things that got straightened out from the very beginning, that you do take a hit on some insurance companies for not getting being in network, and you're going to get lower than that, maybe 3,500 you're used to, or 3,000, whatever it is. So what the insurance companies that Sleep Impressions is dealing with have, and again, just about every insurance company allows you to charge a doctor fee, and that doctor fee will cover letters I write to other doctors. We'll take the pharyngometry and rhinometry if it's not paid for by insurance. It'll cover all my follow-up appointments, although we can bill some of those, but it is kind of a global fee for 90 days.
Yep.
And some differ, so I don't want to get into that exactly. But it really covers for me everything that's going to cost for my device, my time, and everything involved in that. So really everything I get from the insurance company is going to be profit because I'm paying for all this other stuff. Now, my office, that includes, I mean, a patient could see me 5 times, a patient could see me 15 times. I don't care. But let's face it, most of us that have been doing this, I see my patients maybe 3 or 4 times, and they're getting their titration tests. And then I see them at 6 months, and then I see them at 1 year. And I personally, and again, I'm telling you how I do it, I don't even charge them for that 1 year follow-up. I say that's all included in that, and I'll talk to physicians. I'll help them in any way I can during that time. And, it's just, I have never had a patient after about the first 6 months of getting this rolling and understanding how to discuss this with patients ever even worry about that doctor management fee, because they understand they're paying for my expertise. They understand it's not a piece of plastic. It's what I know about using that piece of plastic, what I've learned over the years.
They
And
probably
I
view it
really,
as it's presented to the upfront out-of-pocket piece, and that's okay.
right.
It's
Yeah,
all this follow-up
absolutely.
stuff. They know their device and the tests and the billable stuff, the morning aligner, all the things that we all bill and get paid for, that insurance bundle, and that's
Right,
separate. And the way you present it though, or you described it as kind of covering your costs. And like I said, I know this says 350. I know some people are charging 600, 700, 800,
right,
in that range, 900. So just keep that in mind. That's a variable fee. But if that's going to eat your lab bill for whatever device you made, and your overhead and your supplies and your time and your staff, and now everything else that comes, on the back end is kind of pure profit. That's a good way to look at it, and it works really well.
right. John, can I tell you this? Most
Yeah.
of the physicians that I work with know that's my upfront fee. That most patients at my office pay $700 out of pocket, soon to go up because I've been charging that for the last 2.5, 3 years, and they know. So when I see them at meetings, or I see them, around the hospital or other places, I run into these men and women all the time, and I'm part of the Missouri Sleep Society. I would tell anybody, you want to get to know your physicians, get into your state society. I happen to be Missouri's president this year, but the thing is, just get involved. I did that since day one as just a director at large, and it's really paid dividends of people understanding what I do. But I talk to them all the time, and new referrals, I say, yeah, patient's going to pay this out of pocket. The only thing that differs is their percentage, because some insurances charge a percentage, right? 90, 80, 70, and that's theirs. And I let every patient know that's your agreement with the insurance company. That's nothing that I'm doing. That's your insurance company that you're utilizing. And it just, the physicians understand that, the patients. And then, of course, deductible. And again, deductible is insurance company. Has nothing to do with me. And I no longer in January worry about it, because we discuss that with our patients too. We say, okay, meet your deductible up front. All the other medicine you're going to do, all the other things you need is done being paid for, and you'll meet your deductible early on. So I really think that, I just can't remember the last time a patient has said something to me about the DM fee.
No, I haven't run into an issue with that at all. And it's that, that's their upfront, that's their upfront. Insurance is going to cover the bulk of it on the back end. And, it's a win-win for you. It's a win for the patient. It's a clean, easy way to present it. You know, you're right. Deductibles, copay percentages, those are out of your control. They could be sent after, you know, who knows? It's totally
Right.
variable. So there may be out of pockets that are related to their insurance coverage, of course, like anybody's, but that's not, you know, that's
Right.
not, that's the case no matter what, no matter who, you know, what they're doing. Continuing down this, obviously we have our delivery appointment, right? And that's when the patients, you know, you're documenting all this in the signing their proof of delivery, you're putting the device in, you know, you're fitting their AM aligner, all the, just all the clinical stuff. We're not going to go over those things.
Right.
And then of course your follow. You know, I liked, you know, kind of structure it in a, you know, what you do versus what we do, kind of dividing the things. Your job is to be a good clinician, you know, and identify the patient, get them into the system, you know, and then just wait for the model to work. We know what's going to happen. The more people you put into the top, the more that'll come out the bottom, diagnosed and ready to go for treatment. That's going to have happened totally outside of your, you know, outside of your scope. Um, you know, this says collect only the, you know, I should just say DSM management fee. It's not, it doesn't have to be 350.
Yeah,
but
right.
that piece, that's the part that's the collection that happens in your practice. All the other collection happens through via sleep impressions. So you're not gonna deal with any other collection. And you know, what happens outside of your scope is everything else, you know, all the hard stuff. So the face-to-face, the telemedicine, the diagnostic and prescription, the VOB and pre-auth, explanation of benefits, collection of copay, deductible. So all the financial face-to-face with the patient, discussion of what's their coverage amount, all that. Yeah, all that's done. And I saw the question come up: can you charge a patient management fee to a Medicaid patient? I think you probably meant Medicare. Medicaid doesn't cover this. Medicare, yes, but you have to have them sign an ABN. And
Yes,
there's an ABN,
absolutely.
advanced
Yeah.
beneficiary notification to document. We provide that, and but you have to have a patient sign that. But yes, you can. Even with Medicare. Reimbursement comes to you via sleep impressions biweekly, paying the 1st and the 15th of every month. Your reimbursements will be for all the collections that were made direct from and or from their insurance companies, the payments that process through, and you'll get you'll be reimbursed. You'll have reconciliation of what patients and claims that was for, as in your full ledger breakdown on each patient, being able to see exactly what it was for. So one of the things that was super important with us here is we looked at this and looked at various models that were available, to dentists with sleep. And one of the complaints that I constantly saw, transparent, I don't know, there nobody's telling me. So with this, it's that you have complete transparency as to what the payments are for. There's no funny business, and it's just a very clean, reproducible model that hopefully you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling in it, and it works really well for you.
Yeah.
So how does it work? And this is where it's kind of unique, is that we're kind of taking this billing model and kind of flipping it on its. Everybody here has worked with a third-party biller, right? I have set thousands of practices up with third-party billers. And that's really what it is, right? They're just a contractor. They have software and ability through the clearinghouses to take your claims, you throw at them, and they can take on a electronically now, obviously, put them on a claim and submit it through the clearinghouse and see what happens. That's the third party billing model. And if money comes back, then if something gets paid out, then they get a little piece of that. In this model, we're not the contractor, you are, right? And that's the difference. Is Sleep Impressions is set up like a practice. So when we bring on a new dentist, you're actually the contractor to us, not the other way around. And that's took me a minute to kind of like grasp that and really see how that's working, but that's really what it is, right? So now when a new practice comes on in New York or Washington or wherever, in the eyes of the insurance company, that practice is just a new satellite office of Sleep Impressions, and you are an associate, a contract partner of Sleep Impressions. So that enables us to be able to take you and your MPI numbers and you as a provider and add you into these contracts and get you rolled in, these contracts that already exist. And it's just kind of this ever-growing network. So that's really exciting. But really, think of it like that. It's really you as the provider are the contractor to this central entity. And in doing it this way, it's like I said, it's really clean. It's very consistent. The billing is legit. That was another thing that was really, really important to us when we started doing this. There's a lot of questionable tactics, and I'll leave it at that. Helping,
You're
we
being
could have a whole
nice.
meeting about this, right?
Yeah.
Questionable tactics happening where, yeah, Tom, you're a dentist in St. Louis, but really we're going to bill your appliance through some physician in Miami or maybe in Puerto Rico or more. Yeah, they never saw your patient have anything to do with contract. So no. I mean, if you're happy doing that, that's okay. But, on this, you're the rendering provider. It's your MPI number in your name. It's clean. It's 1,000,000,000% above. Really important. And we want to make sure that everybody's doing this and doing it right so that there's no blowback. So we'll speak to some other stuff too, as far as, Medicare. Medicare's really, there's no revolutionary thing here with Medicare. We Medicare the same way, and we'll keep doing that. So really, Medicare doesn't change too much in this model at all. But we will talk about the VA because I think that's an important thing to acknowledge, because there's a huge opportunity there for everybody. So we kind of described the model. There's a kind of a why or why not debate here to be had, and we can talk about that. This is more for the new people. I think, why would you why go in network? Why do it this way? Because it's predictable, because it's consistent, because hitting 500 singles and doubles is better than hitting 3 home runs. And that's really the name of the game. You get much, much, much higher case acceptance. Patient out-of-pocket costs are lower, sometimes extremely low. Sometimes it's just the management fee and nothing else. And it's the most important factor for your referring doctors, right? If you want to grow, this is how we grow. Why wouldn't you do it? If you're, and really, this is a personal decision. Where do you want to go? What do you want to be when you grow up? Where do you want to be with your sleep practice in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, right? If you want to do it as a hobby and you also are, working to grow every other aspect of your dental business, then doing one sleep appliance a month is convenient for you and you're okay with that, then I probably wouldn't do it this way. It's not a real good fit. You'd be better off doing it fee for service or better off sticking out of the network. But, if you want to scale this and you want to, in relative short term, be doing 2 or 3 or 4 of these devices, you're going to do it, right? Other considerations for insurance, patients expect it. Once you're on there and your location is live, that I know, and I can't be the only one that's done this. When you're prescribed something or something that your physician orders, you go online, you search for providers in your area, you go into your insurance portal and search for providers in your area. They don't show the guy that's billing it out of network. That's not what they're going to find. They're going to find you and your Sleep Impressions location now live in that roster of in-network providers. gap waivers, you've probably all experienced this, right? And it gets blocked because you're trying to do it out of network, and because darn Tom Gotsis is down the street and he's in network, so they're not going to give you a
Right.
gap waiver. They're going to tell the patient, go see him. I would rather be the guy to see him, right?
Yeah.
Getting blocked.
John, and it's funny you say that, because there is a big brouhaha here in St. Louis. Probably 5-6 years ago. I remember it was before COVID, where a lot of oral surgeons, they were saying most of these men and women weren't even doing appliances, or if they did it only because they were with medical insurance to do oral surgery, not to do oral appliance therapy. So, and again, it never bothered me, but, because I was in network, but there was a lot of people who didn't like the fact that they were in network. And one of the things that I always said was, this is the future of sleep medicine. It's going to go to insurance only basis. So I just think this is a future. Pretty soon you're not going to be able to even get gap. My opinion.
We're pretty much there. We're pretty close. Unless you actually are in a extreme remote,
right,
geographically isolated from other providers, then absolutely. So I want to crash down through some fees and just to show kind of some collection ranges, and I'm not going to harp on these because we can spend one-on-one, and I'll give you guys an opportunity that are watching this to hop on one-on-one to kind of dive into your specific practices and what you need and what all this different stuff. But to show at the end of the day, depending on what your patient, what your patient management fee is, and that your practice, that's not, nobody's going to force you into that. Whatever, $2,200 to $3,500 range in that ballpark is totally realistic and doable. Obviously, Medicare is going to be a little bit different than that.
right.
But Medicare, we all know so those of us that are like me in the Northeast, we're in the best region for that. But like I said, we'll go over that, so everyone doesn't have to scramble. Oh, what do I get for this one and this one? At the end of this, I'm going to put up where you guys can scan a QR code, and it'll take you to a page where you can just submit some info and ask questions. And from there, we'll schedule a specific one-on-one with just you, your office, whoever, and one of our team that everything in detail, show you all this and a whole bunch of other stuff if you have questions. But I think that's important. So one of the things that I love about this is the VA has really, it's been a big thing. And I know, you do a lot of VA patients.
Yeah.
What's been your experience working with the VA?
No, it's been,
VA patients.
it's very close to my heart since I am a 21-year veteran. I started the program here in St. Louis back in 2016, and it's very important. And, I think that, they pay on time. They're grateful that you're taking their patients, and we're getting more and more involved with VAs all across the United States. And I think this is an important population of people, because, I went to Kosovo and served after 9/11, and was going to Afghanistan, didn't end up there, but in 2005. But know how these soldiers are, and they don't like CPAP. It's very difficult for them. And when you go into a VA and you help serve those veterans, believe me, the VA appreciates that. So I think it's an area that we can continue to tap into, that you'll have grateful patients for being served. And, my veterans are very thankful for the fact that there was an alternative to CPAP. So,
I mean, we've got a lot of practices now that have ramped, and I would say a majority in some of these practices, not all, and it's somewhat regionally dependent too. But we've got a lot of practices that are up and they do a lot of VA cases. So it's really, it's important. What's nice with this is that by being part of our network, Sleep Impressions has national contracts with all 3 Optum regions and the Tri-West region. So all the regions of VA coverage for the lower 48 and Puerto Rico and Alaska and everywhere. It's an important thing because it's not an easy thing to get. There are some dentists that have gone and done that on their own. It's very laborious. It takes months, sometimes years. It's not an easy thing to just go acquire, but by being part of the network, it's already plug and play. It's already connected right away.
Right.
So the way the VA leads work is a little bit different. So utilizes, if you guys haven't kind of dove down this path, we'll kind of crash course on what community care is and this the community care network. But basically, the VA hospitals and VA health centers and dental, they're obviously they have a dental division too. There's simply not enough ability to service the amount of veterans and patients that need this care. They open it up to the care network, which, everybody that's part of that has to register and be part of it. But with community care, these are, you're not in the VA hospital providing care to these receiving VA benefits. So in our model, we have a dedicated VA case manager. That's her job. As leads come in from community care for diagnostic testing or for oral appliances, if they come in for an appliance, it's simply pairing up with a Sleep Impressions dentist that's closest geographically to that patient. So the lead comes in through this private network, and then our case manager goes and says, okay, yep, Mr. Jones is in St. Louis, Dr. Gotsis is closest there. Now Dr. Gotsis's team will see a new patient pop up in their software. Hey, you've got to see this patient. We got to do it reasonably quickly too. The referral live forever. So one of the requirements of being part of the network and working is that you're able to see the patient quickly. It can't be, oh yeah, we'll see, they can come in March. That's the referral dies after 30 days efficiently.
Right.
So, but the nice thing is they come of money, it's all done, it's all clean, it's all been paid, it's all covered through the VA. Reimbursements are very nice, better than all the other we saw in the previous show, those just because variable by which region you're in. But we can go over that too. So the it's a good service. It's something that I wish our network was 100 times larger than it is, just to be able to service this even better.
Right.
But I know as we continue to grow, it's going to be amazing. Let's talk about Medicare. I already sort of said it. I mean, I think everybody on here has already figured out the Medicare thing. Medicare has been what it is for quite some time. There's really no revolutionary thing to discuss. What I could say is you'll still be a DME supplier. You're still going to get reimbursed either as a participating and or non-participating provider. None of that really changes. Our team, our Sleep Impressions team, can still do all the billing. They can still process everything. You'll get the payments directly in these cases because it's not like it's paying through a Sleep Impressions contract.
Right.
So in this case, the team will function more as a traditional third-party kind of billing manager, if you will, different than all the other private payers. You can still utilize the telehealth system. I think that's really important because in the past, when we were doing just sleep testing, or when we were, you were dispensing your own HST,
Right.
that didn't work for Medicare. And we had to say, no, every Medicare patient, you got to refer out. You can't be any. And a lot of times people didn't know where to go or how to. So in this model, Nothing changes at all. You put them in the same software, you put the same info in, you put their map in, and you send them over as a referral for telehealth and diagnostics. Everything's done. Medicare pays for their sleep testing, pays telehealth, and it's Medicare covered, and it fits the model. So you don't have to go worry about, kind of building a network in your community. So how, again, we've already talked about this. All the in-network plans, the VA, everything pays through sleep impressions, remittance to the providers on the month. The stuff paid directly to you is Medicare and out-of-network billing, right? So if there's out-of-network stuff. So everyone asks how much. This is what's cool. It costs you nothing to do the diagnosis, the telemed, all that stuff is built or paid directly, but you don't touch that. So nothing for diagnosis. The cost for all the in-network billing, the fees that I showed you previously, is all baked into there. So there's no extra fees, there's no extra costs. What I showed you is what the fees are all calculated in. So there's nothing above and beyond. You're not going to get some big bill. It's all built into the model. So what you see is what you get. It's clean. There's no percentages or any of that. The out-of-network stuff or the Medicare stuff, it's a flat 12% of the allowable paid amount, just like any other kind of third-party billing model. So that's really not changed. That
Right.
bottom. But I think that's important to know. I've had a lot of clients ask this, and I've seen a few questions already on this. What about I'm paying for X? I'm paying for, and I'm not going to name them. There's a number of different third-party kind of monthly subscription EMR platforms. You don't need that. We don't use those. So that's something you could potentially discontinue. And because this is all bundled in together, and this model has its own EMR platform that you're going to utilize. So, I like the little, work smarter, not harder note, because that's really it. We've spent countless days, months, years trying to figure out this insurance puzzle. And I think, and I've been doing this now 22 years, and I haven't seen anything like this in all that time, where it has the predictability and the consistency around it. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about it tonight, offer it to our customers, and really grow this network, because this is a true partnership.
Right.
This is not a thing where, it's not a billing company, it's not a service. We win if you win. It's a partnership, and I'm excited to see where that takes. Well, gosh, what else? I know we've got some questions, and I know I promised you guys a little QR code, so I'm gonna leave this up here while we're talking and hop in. But that code, if you want more info, right? Nobody's gonna, I can't possibly get to all the questions and everything we have here tonight. But if you want more information, you'd like to set up a time for one-on-one, we're happy to, connect you even with Dr. Gotsis, who can certainly speak to this, having done it for so many years, this exact way that we're talking about. So if you want more info, scan the QR code, put your info into the page that it takes you to, and we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch quickly to schedule a call or a Zoom or whatever, some one-on-one to go over what your next steps might look like. If you can't scan the code chat, I saw Faustina just put the link in there, so that's good. Gosh, Tom, what else can you share? What other pearls with everybody on this?
Well, John, really, you hit all the important points. I mean, I'll just say this. I've done this every which way, and there's no doubt I've had the most success over the last 10 years. I have friends that call me, some in the St. Louis area that are diplomates, very good sleep physicians. I mean, sleep dentists, I would recommend them to anybody, but call me up and say, what am I doing wrong? What do you think? And one of the things I say all the time, John, is you're not in network. And if you're not in network, patients many times will not say yes. One of the things when we talk to patients, and if anybody, and again, I think you have to have a sleep champion, you have to have somebody talking to patients. I certainly in my day don't have time to sit and answer questions to potential patients. All those get done by my admin assistant, who probably knows this as well as I do. And I think the bottom line is, you have to be able to know what those systems are, how to work it, have a sleep champion or two in your office, and be able to know side effects, and when physicians see this, and when the patients know what you're talking about, and I have to say this, and I do know, yes, I'm a pharyngometry, rhinometry doc, and I've used it since day one, use it on every single patient, every single appointment. There's not a single time I do not pick up my wand and measure the airway, because to me, that's the best way of helping patients understand where they're at, how they've improved. I did like 6 deliveries today. And when I did the deliveries, I always show the patient, this is where you were. Here's you breathing. Here's you collapsed. Now put the appliance in. This is where we thought we can get you with airway metrics. They have the device in. And now I love the pharyngometry now. And I had the old model. And, for a few years now, I've had this model, which I love. And I just start comparing where they were to where they are now. And to me, that just sells it, so much so that at last year's Missouri Sleep Society meeting, they wanted me, the physicians, to present pharyngometry and rhinometry. And I did that as my talk last year at our annual meeting that we have every April, which everybody's invited to. It's a great meeting. And, because they love to see that we have a evidence-based way of making this work. And if you wonder about that, make sure you look at Atul Malhotra's research that he did. And then, of course, Jerry Hugh and John Camisi, which I presented at the DABDSM last year. And, it's a great way of doing it. And then being in network, I tell you, I hit a lot of singles, some doubles, some triples, some homers, but I'll tell you what, I'll hit singles all day, and love the way this practice works doing that. And physicians really appreciate the fact that you're taking care of their patients, and patients understand what it's going to cost them up front. They don't get that at the physician's office. They have no clue what this procedure is going to cost when they go in to see their doc. They know what it's going to cost in my office, and they appreciate it. So, that's probably all I can say about that.
We had a question. Dr. Civic was asking about, can pharyngometer and rhinometer evaluations be billed to medical insurance, or is that part of the administrative fee? The answer is yes and yes, because some payers will cover it. Some payers will only cover one and not the other. Some payers pay both. Some payers only pay for the appliance and all the other ancillary services that you do, x-rays and scans and pharyngometer and rhinometer. Sometimes all of those other things are just, it's a global, right?
Right.
Yeah, I would say more payers than not cover it in some way. But if not, then that's part of what you're going to collect that fee for. And because you're going to do it no matter what. regardless of if you get $1 for it or $500. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. Another question came, let's see. Doc asked, how many offices in every area? I'm assuming the question is more around kind of exclusivity. I mean, my first answer is not nearly enough, because this is something we are just kind of pulling back the covers on and really posing and introducing now. This is the first, been doing this for a long time, and we've rolled in some offices as we're started, but the answer for, as far as areas is not enough at all. So no, you don't have to worry about your neighbor doing it or the other guy. There's right now specifically, and I'm answering the question of the guy that asked this, in your area, nobody, just you.
Yeah. And John, I really like that, though. You don't have to worry about what other people are doing. I mean, honestly, I send patients consistently. If they call me and they're 40 miles away and closer to a buddy, I'll say, here's my friend. Here's where he's at in Illinois. Why don't you see him? I really trust him or her. And I think that, and I presented the white paper with 2 other docs from the Missouri Sleep Society at our state physicians meeting 5 years ago. And if you ever read that DASM paper, there's about 100 million people that have been diagnosed with sleep apnea, and we've treated about 8 million. And it keeps growing, because don't forget, the population is getting older. And as they understand more about oral appliance therapy, for us on this webinar who have done this long enough, I have plenty of patients who said, I would never go get a sleep test because there is no way I'm ever using a CPAP. And when they found out there was an alternative, that's what made them go and do it. So we just have to get the word out to people, and that's what does it. But you don't have to have a scarcity mentality in sleep medicine, because there's way more patients that need treatment. And in your own office, low-hanging fruit is those people who are CPAP intolerant. Shame on you if you're not finding out who those patients are, because they're looking for an alternative.
I saw a question come in about, do you bill for 6 months or annual follow-ups, exams, because those are covered? Yes. Mm-hmm. Some people will, the patient management fee should be presented clearly with a time frame. It's not an indefinite fee that goes on for life. So this could be, Mr. Patient, this is a fee that we charge for our practice, because we're going to need to see you numerous times after to adjust your device. We're going to send you home with some, sleep studies to check and make sure it's working correctly and all. So you kind of bundle all that in and say, this is for your, all your exams, appointments, follow-ups, adjustments. If we need to do multiple, sleep studies after, whatever it is, for a period of however long, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and you put a cap on it. But yes, after that point, if you're seeing an established patient for just evaluation and management of their condition, then absolutely it's billable, it's payable, a high number. Do that, you're going to do a pharyngometer, you're going to do a rhinometer, you'll do the E&M evaluation and management code. So there's a few $100s there for your follow-ups. That's billable. Absolutely. All right. So we're good. I don't see any more questions, and I always try to be of the time, because we tell people it's an hour. It's 9:06 Eastern now. So what I'll leave with is, if you've already taken a, didn't scan the QR code, grab it quick, or you can always go rewatch this on you can always rewatch it on Facebook and grab the link there. If you're in the Zoom, you can click the link in the chat that Faustina just posted. I want to thank you, Dr. Gotsis, for hopping on. I know you and I have talked a lot lately just about this whole new program and rolling everybody up in it. So, and I'll say this, not just thanks for your time, but a lot of you that have been, kind of early adopters into this model and that have had a lot of questions on it. I've connected you with Dr. Gotsis, and he's been overwhelmingly generous with his time, taking calls and texts and emails, everything from both my team and all you out there. So I appreciate your consideration there and your time. I know that's very generous of you, and we all appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, John. And, you could put it out there, Faustina, or someone could put it out there. Feel free to give me a call or email me anytime you want. I think that's what I was taught in the military. When someone needs, and by my dental mentors, when you need my help, I'm there because they were there for me. So please feel free anytime to call me. I love sleep medicine. I think we're saving people's lives, and I love working with Sleep Group Solutions. So I'm more than happy to reach out and answer any questions that need to be discussed.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again for jumping on. I see Faustina just put in the chat your email so people could reach out as well. That's awesome. Well, I'll close it with that. Thank you all very much for hopping on, staying TV tonight. We didn't lose any attendees, even though we're 10 minutes late now. So that's good. Appreciate you. Happy holidays to everybody. I know this is our last, our last Sleep TV, before Christmas, and wish everybody the absolute best and happiest holidays. And thank you all. Good night.
Thanks, John.